Hi, everyone. I'm Amori Amin, and welcome back to the Inner Eyes. I thought I was done with episode 16. I thought there was nothing left to say. I finished recording it, and I am currently uploading it right now onto the YouTube platform. Well, of course, you're watching me on YouTube, but then something happened where I needed to talk about Beyond Oz and take a personal look at Beyond Oz. I've given some snippets here and there, but during this journey, during this walk through the yellow brick road through the eyes of Dorothy, this has always been about through the eyes of self, whether it's self of you as the listener or watcher, or self as me as the person talking. This going through The Wizard of Oz and speaking on the movie, the book, the movies, the book, and any other commentary has been a labor of love for since 1996. I was about to say how many years, but you do the math. It's 2026 now, right? So since 1996, I have looked at it through the lens of hip hop, through the lens of Black America, and now through the lens of spiritual growth. But more than anything, with this journey through Oz, I have learned that as you start producing art, you also start producing and creating and manifesting your life in your world. So, as I was inspired to talk more about the inner Oz, and as I was inspired to do more, even with the transformational modules, so they are being modified on my site, holycrowned.com, my journey took a turn as well. My journey took a turn. Thought I would batch episodes, batch upload episodes, and be able to film them because I planned a trip to Kenya. Those in my personal life know that I can't spend more than a year not having my passport signed. I actually keep my passport near me at all times. And so I was planning a month-long trip to Kenya, and I had already paid. Everything was done, including the Airbnb where I was staying or planned on staying. And then I was diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer. So the batching and the scheduling, all of that went out of the window as I had to start on a new journey. This is a journey that is a lifetime, right? It's not just, oh, I'm going to go for a month somewhere great and get a passport stamp. This is a journey through Oz and through life and through self, deeply internal, no more external, because externally everything looks the same, but internally everything has been turned upside down. So, this journey through Oz is not just about the physical journey of self, it's also about the spiritual, emotional, and mental journey that I am going through, and that is also reflected in others. Mine is in the reflection of a cancer diagnosis. Someone else may have been let go of their job, laid off. Someone else might have found out unexpectedly that they are having a child. Someone else may have, and it may, like, why does that sound like it could be a huge turn? Someone may have been introduced to the love of their life, and then suddenly fear is stoked because everything that encompasses their entire being is now changing. And it's like a shock to the system, and you want to hit the brakes and pause. But it's all our individual journeys, and it's all about the collective rising of you into the greatest and highest form of your life. That's why in episode 15, talking about the higher consciousness and the higher state is about your spiritual mind coming in alignment with your physical life. And so, as your physical mind gets in tune with your spiritual mind, that's when you see elevation and change and evolution. That's when your physical body decides that, hey, anything that you've done before can no longer be sustained. And I'm going to throw a kink into the system. That's my kink. I'm going to throw a kink into the system and make you adjust so that we are matching in all ways right now all ways, shapes, and fashions. And so mine happens to be in the version of Cancer. Others might be in the version of the job that you had no longer aligns with the life that you are meant to live. The job that you have no longer aligns with the purpose that you are meant to show. And so that change, that kink had to occur for you to make adjustments. And in that, you break away all of these parts of you and you start analyzing them. And then you integrate it back so it becomes a prism of your life. Not a prison, but a prism where light can shine through and show the various colors and the array in which you are, the varying degrees of how you reflect the light of the all, the light of the creator, the light of the universe, the light of God. And it's all reflected through you. But the inner eyes, or the walk along the yellow brick road, allows us to look at them all individually. So you look at the scarecrow who thinks that he doesn't have a brain, which aligns with the highest chakra, right? It can align with the third eye chakra. And he receives these messages and he instantly knows that, oh, we need to move in this direction. Or he knows that people can go either way. It depends on the choice in which they are going to make. Doesn't mean that they won't reach Oz. It just means that the journey to get there will be a little bit differently. Oh, here's the plan that needs to happen in order to rescue Dorothy. Or you meet the Tin Man, which then shows the heart, which is the heart chakra, which is green. And so that light appears, which is part of you. And it says, yes, things that I did before, it caused me to create a frozen version of myself, but I'm ready to break it away. You're no longer like that Omarion song, I got this icebox where my heart used to be. You're warming up. And so that becomes more in alignment. And so the love that you have, the compassion that you have, the inner I was going to say peace, it brings about a peace. Love brings peace. And then compassion can bring about action, which causes the Tin Man, regardless of how much he feels that he doesn't have a heart, to go out and sacrifice himself for Dorothy. If you look at The Wiz, when the Scarecrow told the Tin Man to cry, he said, think about Teeny. And he starts crying. And as he's thinking about Teeny and crying, those tears, that emotion wakes up Dorothy. It wakes up the lion. And though it causes a freeze in the Tin Man, a bit of rusting in him, he has sacrificed himself for the life of others. And knowing that, hey, someone has that oil can to bring him back as well, to unfreeze him. So then that brings in that faith. And then you look at the lion who feels that he doesn't have the courage or the definition of courage that's necessary to be the leader that he was born and created to be. He had a false image of how leadership should look, how courage should look, how living life through fear, regardless of fear, should be. He thought he couldn't be fearful of anything. He thought he had to dominate everything in a forceful kind of way. And if he was not that type of leader, then he was no leader of all. But then now look, he took them through. And this is what really changed everything for me, is the subway scene in The Wiz, where the lion was able to then, each time that they called upon him, he was able to save them. He had a moment where he ran off in fear, and then he heard their screams, lion, help, lion, help. And he pulled open that gate. He stepped outside of his fear, ran back, opened the gate, and he subjected himself to the danger that he was running from. But he had to free his companions. He had to free his friends. He had to free himself. And in each scenario, he was able to come through, save them all, and lead them out of the subway. And yes, he saw the fall. He was like, "Oh, great Zeus, what have I become?" Remember that? He talked about how he was in the highest of heights and now he's at the lowest of lows. But he leaned upon his friends. That doesn't mean that you're not a leader if you can't lean upon your friends, if you can't lean upon your family. And that's for me because that's something that I don't do enough of is lean upon those around me. I feel as though I have to be the one to hold it all together. But he was able to lean in, and they showed him that you're a lion, strong and tall. You're the greatest. Those are your cheerleaders of them all. You know, and then say, if on courage, you must fall. And what did he say? Just keep on trying and climbing and climbing because he's a lion in his own way. So being yourself allows you to be the leader in which you were created. Being yourself allows you to become. And all of those things integrate into your body, into your mind, and into your spirit so that you don't have to look for a wizard. You know, you are the wizard. You know, you as the person is the magic embodied inside of your physical being that is a reflection of the power of the Almighty, of the Creator, of the universe. So when they saw the wizard or the whiz was just a man, they became so disappointed. But when you see it is a man, but a reflection of the Creator in human form, then it becomes powerful. You don't have to hide behind tricks and gimmicks. It is the you. It is the you that you are, the you that you have always been, without all the layers, without all the makeup that's trying to hide anything that you find as a defect or a deficiency. No, you are thoroughly efficient, and enough to just be the powerful creation in which you were created. So, this is the inner eyes. This is the journey on the yellow brick road. Yes, my yellow brick road might be the journey or this part because it's not the all. So this part of my journey on the yellow brick road has me going to the oncologist. It has me trying to adapt to a new way of living, a new lifestyle, a lifestyle that actually you should live. One of when your body says it's tired, go rest. When your mind has said, I'm doing gymnastics in order to make others feel better and more comfortable, it says, reevaluate and look inward and work on self. Pay you first before everyone else, right? You're putting myself in debt. And I do mean emotional, physical, and even financial debt so that others feel better. No, it's time to pay itself. We always say pay it forward and we think it means others. How about pay it forward for self? So the yellow brick journey looks different for us all. But the journey is still the same. To evolve, to come into higher understanding, to reach increased heights, and to come in tune and in oneness with our higher consciousness and our higher self. So this is the inner lies, where the yellow brick journey, where the yellow brick road is a journey that is ever continuing, never ending, and always of huge benefit to us all. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you along the path of the yellow brick road.